Cena versus Styles at Crown Jewel. On paper, it's supposed to be legendary. Two icons, two styles, pun intended, clashing in front of the world. WWE is selling it as cinema. Fans are hyped, the internet is buzzing, Twitter timelines are exploding, Reddit threads are spinning out of control. But if you think this match is guaranteed to deliver, if you think there's no way it can fall flat, then my friend, you've been drinking the Kool-Aid served by the suits in the back. Because if you look deeper, if you connect the dots, this thing has all the makings of being one of the most disappointing spectacles WWE has ever put on a global stage. Let's not sugarcoat it, let's call it what it is. A high-stakes gamble that could collapse under its own hype. John Cena, the face of an entire generation, the man who carried WWE on his back for over a decade, is on his farewell run. He's already taken the L against Brock Lesnar, he's already been trotted out to boost ratings, and now WWE wants him in one last dream match. Enter AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. The guy who built his name outside of WWE came in as the independent darling and shut everybody up by delivering instant classics with everyone from Roman to Cena himself back in 2016 and 2017. That history alone makes this match intriguing. But here's the problem. This wasn't booked out of careful planning. This wasn't the culmination of a long-term story. This match came together because of one thing: desperation. Cena threw out the bait on social media. A tweet here, a tease there. Should I face AJ again? And boom, the fans bid. Styles responded, the crowd went wild, and Triple H, ever the opportunist, slapped it on the card faster than you can say swerve. And while that sounds cool in the moment, it also screams short-term booking at its finest. WWE saw buzz online, smelled dollar signs, and rushed this thing without asking the most important question: does it actually make sense? Or is it just nostalgia bait? Spoiler alert, it's nostalgia bait. The trilogy between 2016 and 2017 was pure wrestling gold. Their SummerSlam match, 5 stars, easy. Their Royal Rumble clash, one of the best WWE title matches of the modern era. You don't top that, you don't go back to the well unless you've got a story that justifies it. And guess what? They don't. There's no deep blood feud, no betrayal, no storyline progression. This isn't about settling unfinished business. This is about putting two names on a poster to sell tickets in a massive stadium overseas. That's it. That's the truth the suits in the back don't want you to hear. And let's talk about the physicality of it all. Cena is not the Cena of 2016. He's not even the Cena of 2019. He's a part-timer with mileage on his body and one foot in Hollywood. The guy hasn't had a true 25-minute war in years. Can he still go? Maybe, but can he still deliver at the level we expect when he's standing across from AJ Styles? That's the million-dollar question. AJ himself isn't exactly fresh. He's been battling injuries, he's slowed down, and while he can still deliver on any given night, he's not immune to age either. So what happens if both of them can't keep the pace? What happens if the chemistry isn't there anymore? You get a match that feels like a hollow shell of what it once was. A reminder of what used to be great instead of something that is great. And that, my friends, is wrestling death. The entrances alone will blow the roof off. The opening bell will get one of the loudest pops of the year. But once the match starts, once the nostalgia wears off, fans are gonna realize what's happening. They're gonna realize they've seen this before. They're gonna realize the energy isn't the same. And when that happens, the atmosphere can shift from electric to awkward real quick. Nobody wants to see their heroes stumble. Nobody wants to watch a sequel that doesn't live up to the original. But that's exactly what WWE is risking here. Because if there's one thing WWE loves, it's screwing up big matches with bad finishes. Countouts, DQs, interference, you name it. Imagine they hype this as the final showdown, the tiebreaker, and then have the Bloodline or some other faction run in and ruin it. Can you picture the fan outrage? Twitter would explode. Hashtags would trend for days. People would call it a certified 5-star disaster. And the worst part? It's exactly the kind of thing WWE would do. Because instead of letting Cena and Styles have their moment, they'll use it to advance some other storyline. That's what makes fans furious. That's what makes people chant, "This is boring," in the middle of a supposed dream match. Let's also address the elephant in the room, Crown Jewel itself. These shows are controversial. Fans either love the spectacle or hate the fact that they're glorified cash grabs. Matches on these cards often feel disconnected from the main storylines. They're one-off attractions built for headlines rather than long-term storytelling. That means Cena versus Styles could easily become another exhibition match that doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. Sure, the crowd in the stadium will go nuts, but when Raw rolls around the next week, will anything really change? Or will it just be business as usual, with this match forgotten like it never happened. That's the danger. That's the failure baked into the setup. Now, let's talk about the reactions from fans online. People are split right down the middle. Half of the internet is hyped beyond belief, calling this pure cinema, calling it the match of the decade. The other half is rolling their eyes, saying WWE is recycling old rivalries because they have no fresh ideas. Some fans even say this is proof WWE is terrified of building new stars, because instead of putting AJ against someone like Cody Rhodes or LA Knight, they dust off Cena again. And you know what? They're not wrong. It does send a message. It says the future isn't ready. It says nostalgia is still the crutch, and that in itself is a huge failure. But let's not pretend there isn't upside. There's always upside. If Cena and Styles somehow find that spark again, if they pull out the storytelling magic they had back in 2016, this could be a late career masterpiece for both men. It could remind fans why they fell in love with wrestling in the first place. It could even be match of the year if everything aligns perfectly. But how often does everything align perfectly in WWE? Almost never. The risks outweigh the rewards, and history tells us that nostalgia-driven booking usually backfires. And here's where it gets ugly. If this match flops, it doesn't just hurt Cena. It doesn't just hurt Styles. It hurts WWE's credibility, because they've been marketing this as the dream of dreams, the ultimate spectacle. If fans walk away disappointed, if social media tears it apart, that stench sticks. It makes every future dream match feel less special. It makes fans skeptical of every big announcement, and in the long run, it makes WWE look like a company that can't deliver on its promises. Think about what happens if Cena tries to lean too heavy into the nostalgia spots. Shoulder tackles, the you can't see me routine, 5-knuckle shuffle. It'll get a pop the first time, maybe even the second, but after that, the fans will start to see through it, because we're not in 2007 anymore, and people don't just want the same sequence they've watched 1,000 times on YouTube highlight reels. They want a performance that makes them feel like this moment matters. If AJ ends up carrying the bulk of the workload to mask Cena's limitations, fans online will tear it apart, calling it AJ Styles versus a cardboard cutout of John Cena. And here's another thing nobody's talking about: the pressure AJ is under in this scenario. Cena's legacy is set. Win or lose, he walks away with his Hollywood career intact, his Hall of Fame status locked, and fans chanting his name forever. AJ, on the other hand, still has to protect his reputation as a performer. If he can't get a good match out of Cena in this stage of his career, people will start questioning whether AJ still has that phenomenal touch. That's a brutal spotlight to be in, and the internet doesn't forgive easily. Now let's talk about WWE's obsession with overproduction. You know they can't just let two guys wrestle. There's going to be a video package longer than the actual match build. There'll be drone shots, pyro explosions, commentators screaming about once in a lifetime, even though we've already seen it multiple times. And if they load this thing up with too much spectacle, it risks drowning out the actual wrestling. Fans didn't beg for another Cena Styles match because they wanted more fireworks. They wanted another war. If the match feels like smoke and mirrors, fans will revolt. We also can't ignore the political angle. Every time Cena shows up, he overshadows full-timers who bust their bodies 300 days a year. So picture this. Crown Jewel ends with Cena beating AJ in a feel-good moment for the casuals. What does that do for the roster? It kills momentum for everyone else. Guys like Cody, Gunther, and Seth Rollins get pushed further into the background because management decided to ride nostalgia one more time. Fans online will scream about WWE refusing to build for the future, and honestly, they'll be right. But let's flip the script. What if AJ wins? On the surface, that's a huge victory, but it comes with baggage. People will say Cena did the job because he's retiring anyway. They'll downplay the win, acting like it doesn't matter because Cena's a part-timer. And suddenly, AJ's monumental victory looks like a hollow gift instead of an earned accomplishment. That's the trap WWE booked themselves into. No matter who wins, somebody's credibility takes a hit. And don't forget about the pacing of the overall card. Crown Jewel shows are notorious for being bloated with long entrances, dragged out segments, and filler matches that tire the crowd. If Cena and Styles don't get placed at the perfect spot in the lineup, they're doomed. Put them after a high energy match like a tag team banger or a brutal stipulation fight, and suddenly the crowd doesn't have the energy left for 30 minutes of chain wrestling. Put them too early and it won't feel like a main event. That delicate balance could make or break how fans perceive the entire encounter. Here's another nightmare scenario. What if WWE decides to use this match to debut or return somebody else? Imagine AJ and Cena are cooking in the ring, telling their story, and then boom, lights out, some new guy or faction interferes to make a statement. Sure, it might set up a new angle, but it completely kills the purity of what fans wanted. Instead of a satisfying conclusion, you get a cheap setup for another feud. The audience didn't beg for interference. They begged for closure to one of the greatest rivalries of the modern era. If you want more evidence of why this could flop, just look at how the internet reacted when the match was announced. Yeah, there were pops, there were gifs of people losing their minds, but there was also a ton of skepticism. Why now? What's the point? Is this just another Saudi payday? That skepticism doesn't vanish, it lingers in the back of every fan's mind, and if the match doesn't immediately silence those doubts, they'll only get louder. So here's the bottom line: Cena vs. Styles has every chance to be historic, but it has even more chances to be a spectacular failure. The build was rushed, the story is thin, the stakes are non-existent, the physical risks are massive, and the booking landmines are everywhere. WWE is banking on nostalgia to carry the load, but nostalgia is a dangerous drug. One wrong move, one bad finish, one sluggish sequence, and the entire thing crashes.